Testing, testing, 1, 2, testing. Here we good. What's up, everybody? Long time no see. In regards to streaming, that is. Jake, what's up? Sora, I see you, man. Christian Joe, my brother, what's up? Roix, hope you're doing okay. Hopefully I said your name right, bro. Nanami Sam, hope you're doing okay. King Flocka, what's up? Wandi, I see you, bro. How you doing? Virgil, what's up? Anime Warrior, I see you, man. Abby, how's it going? Robert Cole, how you doing, man? Caps, how you doing? Jennifer, hi there. Alan, what's up, my bro? Thank you so much, Anime Warrior. Devon, what's up, man? Patrick, I see you, bro. Marwan, what's up? Michael, you should try the Yakuza series. It's definitely on my list of games to try out for sure. Parsvala, hope you're doing okay. Michael never finished that, bro. God damn, bro. I knew. You know what? New Year's resolution this year, and I'm not kidding, Sora, is to finish Sekiro, bro. That's what I said on my list of New Year's resolutions. Hopefully. I hope I can get back to it, bro. I've been so, like, just preoccupied with stuff. Wilson, what's up? I was wondering why you ain't playing. Yeah, I've just been so busy. Like, you know, the holidays and life stuff. I haven't even gotten a chance to play anything. Just mostly focusing on, like, the regular anime reactions and everything. But here we are. I've heard people say this DLC is crazy. Abdul was telling me, he told me to, like, break it down because it's a little bit lengthy. So that's why I decided I'm gonna break it down into parts. But yeah, other than that, I've just heard people say it's crazy. And I'm here, bro. I am here. I can't wait. I'm screen recording that and sending it to out. Oh, please don't. Vlog, you don't have you don't have to tell him. he's gonna always remind me, man. Michael, you said New Year's resolution. But yeah, we're finishing Sekiro 2077, bro. Probably one of the best DLCs, I'll say less. Okay, so I got it downloaded. I'm really excited to jump in. Hope you guys have had a lovely holiday and New Year's, man. Hope you guys are doing okay generally. We're in 2024. Can you imagine that, bro? Sheesh. Mike, have you seen it? Yes, I did see it. It was a short trailer. The trailer, about 21 seconds. I did see it. It was hype, man. I'm excited. I don't know when they're gonna animate, or when, like, season 3 is gonna come out, but I saw it. Like, I guess they used, like, manga panels to tease stuff and everything, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I did see it. It was really awesome. Happy New Year's. I'm so sad that tonight, GGK, but much love. Walid, thank you so much for the donation, my brother. Hope you're doing okay. Yeah, we're gonna have, hopefully we don't have to wait too long, man. What I heard people say the next arc, is it called Culling Game Arc? Is that what it's called? Season 3? Very excited for that, man. I'm excited. Can't wait. Hopefully, I mean, map animators take as much time as you need, bro. You guys need rest. I mean, with all they're working on, like Jigo Kuraku, I mean, at least they're done with Attack on Titan, but Villain Saga, what else? Chainsaw Man. They can take as much time as they need. Oh yeah, we got Bleach Core 3. I'm super excited for that. Season 3 is really good. Can't wait. Very excited. Can see their families this time. Hopefully, Jake. Hopefully. Oh yeah. Solo Leveling is a day 1. It's coming out Saturday. So I'll be doing Solo Leveling and Martial Magic and Muscles for you guys on Saturday. So no worries on that. Oh, that's a day 1. I've heard people say the manhwa is crazy. Never read it before, so super excited for that. Sparking Zero as well. Super excited for that. Can't wait to see when we get more info and a release date on that. I'll sleep. I'm doing good. Hope you are as well. Yeah, Christian Joel. I think it's coming out Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Hi, Michael. This is my first time catching you live. Oh, much love. Tori, thank you so much for coming through. Is that true? JJK0 was made in 4 months? I did not know that. That's crazy. Yo! That's insane, man. Nah, Mappa animators need to take a break, bro. That's insane. Would you also play... Oh, yeah. Curse Clash is a day 1 for me as well. I plan to pre-order that soon. That's crazy, bro. All right, let's see what the Valhalla is all about. The following content is meant to be experienced after completion. I've already finished the game, Ragnarok, and will contain spoilers. I've already finished the game. All right, now I was talking to Ezio yesterday. Shout out to him on Twitter or X, whichever one. I just call it Twitter, bro. He told me to play. Okay, I don't want to, bro. I don't want to play on the hardest difficulty, bro, because it's been a while since I've played this game, and I don't want to suffer. Okay, greatly increased combat difficulty, 30%. Show me. Oh man. Okay, increased combat difficulty. Yo, damn. I'm not ready to be sweating on stream like that, bro. Okay, we can do the second hardest. For your second hardest difficulty, show me prowess. We can do the second hardest, right? Cause I ain't fitting to be. I'm not him. I'm just telling you right now. I am not him when it comes to Ragnarok, bro. Like mastery, nah. I'm not him, King Flo. I'm not, bro. Hardest difficulty will make you feel like the god. Man. Okay, people are saying do increase combat difficulty. Okay, greatly increase combat difficulty. Should we try? Because I want a challenge, but at the same time, I don't want it to be too hard. Like I want a challenge, but also enjoy whatever story they have in store here. Wally again with the donation, my brother. Thank you so much, Mike. You're my boy. Thanks for all these years. I will watch. Oh, much love, Wally. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the support. Yeah, I will be reacting to solo leveling. No worry. I'm him in other matters, but when it comes to like, bro, when it comes to Ragnarok, plus it's been a while, bro. I don't know if I'm ready. The DLC is pain. You see, that's Luis is just making me want to play on. I'm gonna just play on the second hardest, bro. Like I mean, it's in between. Maybe if I'm feeling, you know, a little daring in another stream, I'll try mastery. But nah, let's just go with prowess. Let's show me prowess. You know, we're gonna be here a while either way, bro. I need to get my muscle memory back for this game, bro. It's been a minute. Yes, I'm from Kenya. I live in Kenya. Here we go, guys. There he is.
You are certain you remember nothing of this place?
Oh, nothing that would help us.
Tori, thank you so much for the donation. I'm gonna read that in a few.
Tell me, brother, why exactly are we doing this?
Well, we're just going in. Okay, the invitation, Valhalla.
No.
Oh, that's comforting.
Okay. Michael, did you hear about the JJ? I did. Curse Clash? Yes, it's a day one for me. I saw some what do you call it? Screenshots of Utah and Ghetto from JJK0. I'm glad they're in the game too. Utah is gonna be my main for sure. Like he's my favorite character. One Piece or Demon Slayer? One Piece for me, but I do love Demon Slayer as well. I love both though, Demon Slayer and One Piece. All right, here we go. You're from Kenya too? Oh, much love, bro. Really appreciate the support. Bro, I even have different armor on. Interesting.
Look, I know you expect more from the smartest man alive, but Odin always kept me in the dark about this place. Which is why I urged you to seek Freya's guidance. Repeatedly.
She does not seem eager to speak with me.
Well, quite the opposite, brother. But you tell yourself whatever you need to.
How did they get here? What is that statue? A Valkyrie? Valkyrie Queen? I have so many questions, bro. Got another statue in the distance.
Ahead. Black sand.
Exactly as described in the invitation. We finally bloody made it.
Who invited them here? Such a good free DLC. I'm super excited to see how things are gonna play out. So it's just Kratos and Mimir, no Freya. Freya, as he said, wasn't eager to speak with him, so... I wonder.
Something is happening.
My armor is gone.
Back to basics then.
Okay. The shore? Okay. Alright, here we go, guys.
Well, that felt unsettling. Like we plunged into a dream.
A refresher on the controls and gameplay can be found. Nah, I'm good. I think I'm gonna learn as I get my ass kicked. I mean, that's the best way to learn anyway. But I still remember like combat and everything. Yo, hold up a second. So my health is like that level? Really? So I don't carry any of the stuff from the previous save? Okay. So we're just starting afresh here. Okay. Still got the drop near spear. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I have played the previous God of War games. 2 and 3 are my favorites. Never played Ascension, though. Although I did hear with Ascension, they added like an online thing with it.
Doesn't seem anyone's here to welcome us.
Okay. So are these the gates of Valhalla? Okay, here we go. Oh, Karar, my brother, welcome, man.
I don't suppose you'll take that as our cue to turn around and leave?
Reatha Sialfua, Sinum Hautum.
Ooh.
Be one's own master.
Master thyself.
A more poetic way of putting it, but yes.
Those lessons from Atreus are paid off. Kratos knows how to read the words now. You love to see it. Okay, let's open it.
Something is wrong. I
Wait.
feel weaker.
Weak?
Valhalla may not appreciate our breaking in.
Yo, there's like this red aura all over Kratos, man. It's kind of like I'm in Spartan Rage, but I'm not. Oh, okay, here we go.
Oh, that's a rough one.
My shield is not open.
I can't access my shield? Well, at least I can dodge, though. Whoa, let's try.
Left side, brother.
Damn!
Oh,
Oh my god!
Now I wonder.
First death. Okay, damn. Well, whoo! I'm rusty. I'm even worse than rusty, bro.
We're back outside.
You
Freya?
marched into Valhalla without even talking to us first?
Nice to see you too, milady.
It was a personal matter, and I would not take you from your duties.
You breached Valhalla. Consider it worth my time. This entrance is secret. Who told you of this place?
Who gave him the invitation?
Nailed to our door 3 days ago.
Kratos of Sparta, you are hereby invited to a challenge. Face the past, face the future. Master Valhalla, master thyself.
I was supposed to die, right?
Then directions here. No signature.
Who else knows of this entrance?
Odin and us. It's likely a trap.
Odin is dead, though, right?
You're
So...
thinking of going back in.
Would you join me?
Oh, don't let me intrude on your personal matter. Besides, I can't. Unlike the two of you, I've never died.
Oh.
What happens if I return inside?
Well, that depends on you. Valhalla draws from the memories of those who enter. In there, you're an open book. Sure, you want to go back in.
So only people who have died can access
How
Valhalla?
did you even get past the gate?
I forced it open.
With his bare hands.
Kratos is just
Forced
built
it
different.
open.
He's just built
There's
different.
an easier way if you insist on going back in.
Oh.
Come.
Sigrun, maybe later we could continue with that one conversation, eh?
For once, Mimir, I think you've said enough.
Ah, right then.
Mimir's girl right there. Okay.
And the other matter we discussed? You're still thinking?
Mog? And ain't no way.
I am.
Is that what this is? Guess I'll let you think, then.
Okay. Who gave him that invitation, bro? I have so many questions. Can't wait to play Uta. Oh, is the DLC out?
All right, Jim.
For
Let's
Bioware's
enter
4?
in properly prepared this time. First, Valhalla requires you to perform the ritual of selection.
I'm gonna stop you right there, Sigrun. What would have happened if I didn't die? Like, if I took those guys down, what would have happened? Like, would I have just ended up back at the entrance, or like would I have continued on? Let me know in the chat. I'm curious.
General, the gate will only accept you if you complete the ritual of selection.
Okay, so all these right here. Oh, Abdul, I would have continued. I would have continued weaker. Also, welcome to the chat, bro. I would have continued in my weakened state, and then it's a good thing I died, bro. God damn. I recommend Hades if you haven't played one. Oh, I see. I've never played a roguelike before, so okay, interesting. All right, so balance fear. Okay. I always prefer. I always prefer Fury. I'll take Fury. Oh, and here I can choose my shield. Okay. Ah, okay. I generally think that Kratos and Freya will have love scenes in the next God of War. Really? I mean, they seem to be getting closer and closer. Yes, I have played Cyberpunk. Played it, loved it, finished it. Played the DLC as well. Absolutely fantastic game. Glad I waited until, you know, the patches and all released. I really enjoyed it. V is such a great character. Michael, do you have a favorite 2023 or 2024 anime? Man, there are so many shows that came out this year. Or not this year, wow, last year. Man, there's so many. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that one. Yeah, I did watch Fire Force, finish the first season, yet to finish the second one. Super excited for the new arc this Sunday, Karar. Okay. I'm gonna go with the Guardian. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the classic one.
Good. Now, let my sister speak to you of Valhalla's rules and its values.
Okay, hopefully my parry game is on point. Okay, here we go.
What do you know of this place?
The challenge of Valhalla is not merely about overcoming obstacles. It's about the way you overcome them, how you demonstrate mastery of your own powers. We can guide you down a path, but Valhalla will be the judge of your progress. Return to me when you've met a goal.
Okay.
We'll observe the effects.
Favorite JJK episode? Man. Sukuna vs. Mahoraga.
What have you to say?
Valhalla seeks to foster wholeness and balance within those who enter. To fully master yourself, you can't rely on only your most familiar tactics.
I use the tactics appropriate to the situation.
Of course, but varying your approach will demonstrate to Valhalla the full mastery of your abilities, and Valhalla will reward such demonstrations. Be sure to come back and see me as you progress.
Malevolent Kitchen. Sukuna was cooking in that episode.
To proceed, and we can begin the ceremony.
I am ready.
Air, Gunnar, with me.
Sheesh. Right, here we go. Wow, they have beautiful
Now
voices.
you can enter Valhalla by this gate, without suffering the penalty of grief.
Okay, Leifar. Let's go, bro. I'm ready. Damn. All right, here we go. They got pipes on them, right? Okay, now I should have like my full power, I assume.
Any cursed feeling this time?
No, all is well.
All right, let's
Thank
go.
you, shield maidens.
All right, let's take
All
that.
right,
Let's
try this whole thing again.
That's what I wanted to say, Mimir. Let's go. Oh, we back. Bro, I'm instinctively pressing square, assuming that Freya or Atreus is next to me, bro. But I'm alone. Damn. Need to stop. It's just me. It is just me. Okay, let's go.
Seems it's the way of this place to offer you a choice.
Drastically increase the power of Scorched Sweep and Scorched Earth skills. Drastically increase the power of General's Advance and General's Deception. Okay, that's for the Dropnir Spear, and this one's for the Blades of Chaos. I'm going with the Blades of Chaos. Let's see what it does. Okay. Okay. Yes, man. I haven't played. Can you imagine? I haven't played the new DLC for Capcom. Man, I've been so life, Patrick. Life has just been so busy. Switch President. Oh, bro, damn. Okay, I'm going with the Blade. Should I? The General's Advance sounds pretty. That was pretty. And General's Deception sounds pretty awesome. I'm gonna go with this one. Let's go with that one. So I'm gaining abilities as I keep going. Okay. Interesting. Destroy. Stats class increase Kratos' attributes for the attempt. Ah. So I'm literally starting from scratch practically. I have specific abilities. Okay. Each chest has a floating symbol that indicates the type of reward inside. Okay. Press L3 to view the symbols. Okay. All right. Alright. Hold up a second. How do you do this thing again? Oh, I see. Huh? What were you doing it before? I'm trying to do it, but it's not working. That's weird. I wonder why. Nah, I'm not seeing the new Aquaman movie. I heard it's trash. Like, they did not close out the DCEU properly with that one. Oh boy, here we go. Oh, not these things. Okay, here we go. Damn, you saw me dodge that. Come on.
Amir, what is at odds between you and Sigrun? Did you anger her?
I wouldn't say she's angry with me. Irritated, perhaps. Disappointed, certainly. But you needn't worry yourself, brother. I won't let it distract from whatever it is we're doing here.
Okay. Ooh, okay. Ooh, I think I like this better. Yeah, I'm gonna take this. Rampage. Okay. All right, on we go. Nah, I've not seen him mention the shadow yet. It's been recommended to me. Mimir trying to riz up Sigrid.
So, this is no piece of Asgard at all. Just something spun from your memory of it. Fascinating.
Oh.
At least this part seems peaceful. We should have a look around.
Guess we can do some exploring.
I must admit, Freya's idea does make quite a bit of sense to me. What better god of war could the realms ask for than a general who won Ragnarok, and won it trying to save lives? With you on board, our whole peacekeeping council could really do some good.
This position, this title, I have held it before. You know what happened. She knows what happened.
Of course we do. Why should who you used to be matter more than who you are now?
Facts, Mimir.
Can't you see how far you've come?
However far I have come, I have done it running from that life, that title, throne.
Aye.
He's just afraid to be the person he was before, which I get, Kratos. Okay, so I'm guessing I just go... Oh, hold up. Have I gone through here? Hold up. All these places are locked, bro.
Not permitted that way, it seems, and no way to pry it open.
So I guess I can't go there. I can't go there just yet. Okay. Guess this is the only way. Whoa, okay. Damn! Damn, I do not want to die, bro. Get all that health back. Where is she? Oh, nice health. Let's go. Where is she? Oh, there you are.
Behind you, incoming!
Damn, you saw me dodge that, bro. Come on now. Okay, here we go. Let's go. Ooh, let's go. We back. Damn, I literally have no health, bro. That's crazy. Look at me. I got no health, bro. that was luck. That was luck, honestly. Sheesh. Killing enemies with a flame whiplash. Hold up, let's see. Flame whiplash. Current attack causes a burn shockwave and increases burn stats. Inflicted, okay. So hold up a second. It seems like majority of the stat upgrades I'm getting are specifically for the Blades of Chaos. Unless I get more later, I'm playing on the second hardest difficulty. Second hardest. Gohan. Wait, is that lag? Are we lagging? Any lag in the chat? Just let me know. Or are we good? No, we ain't. Love to hear it. Okay, in case there's any lag, just let me know in the chat. Okay. I'm gonna go with that one. Awesome, okay. Bro, I'm gonna need health ASAP, because... Oh, bro's not looking good. I'm not looking good, man. Okay, you know what? I came through there already, so... Alright, let's go through here. Please tell me my health comes back. No?
I suppose this is about how you remember Jotunheim, eh?
I do agree with you about Freya's council. It is a noble idea. It should succeed for her merits.
How's that, brother?
Freya is known to the realms and native to them, respected by all, an experienced leader.
Experienced enough to know that a shared power is best for the people.
That she would share power proves she is worthy to wield it.
Even so, why make her wield it alone? Without Odin, the realms have a chance to forge a new peace. When
They could rule
conflicts
together.
arise and can't be talked through, a god of war ensures those conflicts have rules and enforces them. They need might and judgment and credibility across the realms. Who else would she pick, brother?
There's nobody. I mean, her brother is dead, so, you know, Kratos.
Seems there's a way at hand to bargain with Valhalla directly.
Purchased at a tablet. Huh? Glyphs purchased at a tablet of Endeavor will be lost at the end of the attempt. Okay. Acquired runic attack glyphs can be upgraded for this attempt. Okay. Press square to retain your progress in Valhalla and exit to the main. Oh. Immediately destroys a moderate amount of Kratos' health. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna need this. Because the way I'm looking, I'm not looking too good, bro. I guess I could upgrade this. Hopefully I get a heavy runic attack soon, bro. Favorite new gen anime? Blue Lock was actually on that list, bro. I'd say Blue Lock. I really, for at the time when he was airing, Blue Lock was one of my favorites. Can't wait for that movie with Nagi. Oh, good. I got some health back. That's good. Okay. Well, that's locked. No way to go through there. Nothing here. What is this? Kind of feels like something is there. That'll just take me back down. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, Nagi's getting a movie. Can you imagine that? It's coming out this year, too. Oh, God. Whoa! Okay, okay, okay. Can we talk about this? Oh, my God. Health, 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 health. Please, 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 please. Let me make it in time. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm good, I'm good. Damn! No, 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 no!
That time.
Oh my God, this is...
Well, making some progress.
Jason, I'm having an awesome day. Hope you're as well. Oh, bro, are you telling me I always have to start at the shore each time? That sucks, bro.
In the face of change, those who adapt triumph, while the rigid falter.
You can review lessons, okay. Oh, so here I can just change armor. Oh! Okay. Gojo Sukuna, I like them both. Sukuna had a lot of shine in the second season, though. I loved it. Gojo too. I mean, before whatever happened. I guess we could go with this. Style for points, okay. Ooh. This doesn't look too bad. Oh, what was that for the waist? Fortify. Don't like the top of how that looks. JD Williams, much love. Thank you so much for the donation, my brother. Happy New Year, big bro. Let's make 2024 a good one. Definitely can't wait for... yes, sir. You already know. Sparking Zero is a day one, my brother. Hope you're having a lovely, lovely day. And Happy New Year as well. Facts, Anime Warrior. Do you live stream GTA 6 gameplay in 2025? Oh, yeah. I might try. I've never, really been heavy into GTA like that, but everybody and their mother was hyped for that trailer, bro. I think it surpassed, 125 million views in, 3 days or something, bro. Crazy. Smashed, Mr. Beast's numbers on YouTube in 3 days. Insane. What's my favorite laugh in One Piece? Oh, there are a ton. Blackbeard's is pretty... I like Blackbeard's. Also, Caesar's. Doflamingo's is pretty good too. Moria's. There's so many. Kaido's. Okay, Kaido. This is so good. I missed that, bro. Okay, I think I'm good here. Oh boy.
Valhalla, where legends are made and remade.
What is this?
Now these would make a real and lasting difference.
Yeah, I'm going with health, bro. Come on.
A durable improvement.
I mean, rage is awesome too, but health, I feel is the most important thing for me to last as long as I need to. Do what I can for rage too, I guess. All right, that's enough. There we go. Yeah. That's what we love to see. Okay.
You are fighting your way deeper into Valhalla, Jim. Keep going.
Where is Freya?
Away for the moment. As you know, she's attending to many things presently. Establishing a new governing body for the realms is no simple task. There are leaders to find and recruit, negotiations for sharing power. I'm sure she'd prefer to be here, but you'll have
Third
to
core
make
of
do
Bleach?
with the three of us for
Not
now.
too sure.
I'm sure we're in excellent hands.
I do know it's 2024, but I'm not really sure when specifically, Alan. I want these. Freeze's laugh is the best. Yoroshiku. Is that what he says? Okay, here we go. Oh, I have to start all the time at the beginning? That's crazy to me, but I get better each time. This is perfect training.
On your left!
Let's go. All right.
New attempt, new choices to make. A fresh start.
Ooh. Okay. So every time I die, I'm able to upgrade more stuff. Oh, that's cool. Or make a choice at what I want to upgrade to help in my, my fresh run of Valhalla. Okay, I get it. Oh, we got Draugr now?
Behind you! Look out!
Okay. Getting better, getting better. Muscle memory's coming back. Ooh. Hey, I'm gonna go with this. Light work, light work. Okay, this time I'm good. I hope. I say that now and then I'll get my ass kicked, bro.
Freya knows I would not refuse to aid her when in need. I have done and will do my part to fight for peace, regardless of title, regardless of whether I sit in authority.
You know as well as I do there's power in words. Oaths. The people need to know you're committed to them and to yourself. That you'll be there for them, and I know that you will. I understand you've got misgivings, man, but you've put your past behind you.
True.
We all see it.
You've raised a fine boy, Kratos.
I am.
That you were. You've told me of your past, and yes, much of it was horrible. But you've proven over and over again that you're not that man anymore.
Facts. Mimir's just preaching at this point. You miss when he says boy? Yeah, he left that all behind in God of War 2018. Ooh. How's the weather, buddy? Chilly? Okay, let's take care of this. No, I'm not taking any chances, bro. Ooh, let's go. I'm here. Where's this chick? Where is she? Oh, there you are. That's a god health. Okay, I don't need it. I'm good. All right. Hell's touch. Oh yeah. Oh, I love that. Stuns enemies. Yeah, I don't really like the beam. Okay. Can't wait too. Very excited for the new Egghead arc.
If there's an upside to this Valhalla madness, at least it's good to see you in action again. You're already more your cheery self than I've seen in moons. Without Atreus or a fight in front of you, I wonder after your well-being.
Combat can be gratifying.
Speaking on Atreus, I wonder where he is. Gone to free the giants? Are we getting a DLC, Santa Monica? Talk to me. Or a spin-off, rather? With our boy? Okay, so far so good. Wait, did I read this before? Oh, I did. I did. Oh, I did. Okay. No need. Will be the egghead. I'm curious why it's called Egghead, by the way. I'm excited to find out, like, why. Sounds like something Sonic-like, you know? Sonic the Hedgehog? With Dr. Robotnik. I wonder if Oda had inspiration from Sonic naming it that. Oh, there's something down there. Hold up. Can I go down there? Oh, I can. Hold up. Oh, I can't access it. Come on, man. Really? Okay. Maybe some other time. Okay, here we go. So far, so good. So far, so good. A literal egg, no limbs, no face. That would be so scary. All right, here we go. Oh, damn it. Okay, these are the things that kill me the first time. And that poison is so annoying. Ah! And it slows me down, too.
Right side, brother!
We good? Oh, we survived. Thank goodness. Oh, and we got health too. Love to see it. Okay. Whew. All right, we move. We're surviving. All right, what do we got here? Give me something good. Increase stun death to airborne enemies. Moderate luck chance to grant a blessing of runic on any last. Basic focus, rise and stun. Go with stun. Kratos' domain expansion. Oh. I'd have to think about that one.
And this must be how you remember Svartalfheim.
So we're in Svartalfheim now? Realm of the Dwarves, okay. Maybe Fall of Olympus? Domain expansion Fall of Olympus? That sounds badass, right? Shanks or Mihawk for me. I like Mihawk better. Shanks is badass, don't get me wrong. It's just like, you know, I like Zoro. Zoro's my favorite character, so, you know. And since, you know, Zoro's goal is to beat Mihawk, gotta love Mihawk too. But I like Mihawk as a character, though. He's pretty... Can't wait to see him finally try in an actual fight, you know? Oh yeah, let's upgrade this. Right? Badass. Fall of Olympus. Sheesh. They need to let me on the team at Santa Monica. We're giving them some really awesome name attack ideas. I'm just messing now. Kane, what's up? What is this? Can I... Am I supposed to... I guess not. I guess I'll find out what that is later. Can't go through there. Okay. We move. Where's the door again? Here? Okay. What mission? Oh, I'm gonna do a like replay of the whole game on New Game Plus. Like the Venom part especially is just... I think that's my favorite mission to replay for sure. Still in Svartalfheim, okay. I know you're alive. I knew it! I knew you were alive, bro! Crap. Damn. Oh my god, these Draugr are pretty tough. Okay, 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 let's do this. Okay, 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 come on, come on. Okay, whoa, 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 whoa. No! Where are those revival runics, bro? Okay, but I don't have Atreus or Freya with me, so I can't revive. Oh my god, those Draugrs are so tough, man. Sheesh, okay. Three so far, okay.
Better all the time.
Damn!
Back at it now, yeah?
7? Oh, come on. 3. Technically 3. Yo! Okay, but you know what?
Use every setback as a catalyst for progress. Don't lose heart.
With every death, I get better. So, you know. That's something to take away.
Is an opportunity, right, General?
And we got the Valkyries here, you know, motivating me after each L. Love it.
You resist investing in yourself.
Okay. Let's continue taking the health up there. That way we don't have any issues as we keep going. Alright, I think that's good. Yeah, I think we're good, okay.
You made it even further that time.
Thank you.
Pride in your progress.
Thank you.
Remember, Kratos, the deeper into Valhalla you venture, the greater the danger. And I don't just mean physically.
I understand.
Yes, we'll try not to go mad.
Yeah, you know what? That's a great motivation right there, Jake. Okay. Kind of wish it was Thor's wife Sif I was returning to, but we'll take the Valkyries. Damn! I thought I pressed up. All right, here we go. Here we go. Better motivation would be returning to Kratos. Wow. Let's see this. Oh, okay. Now I'm gonna take this. We shall flourish. Yes, sir. All right, here we go. We get better each time. I'm a Saiyan. This is like literally Saiyan training right here. Oh, Draugr. Okay, bring it on.
Behind you! Incoming!
There we go. Okay. Light work. What do we have here? Nah. Nah, I already got this, right? Okay.
Going back.
Do you know recently Japan got struck? I heard. In fact, my mom was telling me today. And Shibuya damaged more, but JJK fans commenting in that tweet that you are my spy. Oh, come on, bro. No freaking way. You know what? I kind of had a feeling they take an opportunity to troll in a situation like that. Battle with Sukuna and Mahoraga was too much.
The way we came
Caused a whole earthquake in Shibuya. That's crazy. But man, I really hope for any of my fans who live in Japan, I really hope any people who live in the Shibuya area, I hope everybody's okay. You are my special. That is just next level trolling, bro. Goddamn. Yes, I did hear about the hack that happened with Insomniac. It was really sad, man. But like they said, they're resilient like Logan, so they're not gonna stop cooking. Lag? Are we lagging? You sure? Envy, in case you're lagging, just refresh. Refresh in case... Are we good, guys? No lag, I hope. Bro, okay, awesome. Alright, love to hear it. Gotta check real quick if there's something up here. Oh yeah, definitely excited for New Game Plus for Spider-Man 2. Yes, sir. Did I not upgrade that? Damn. There we go. Damn! Head clean off. Oh, Mimir's POV right now, bro. I'd be nauseous. All that shaking around on Kratos' like hip. We don't need that, bro. Adds a consecutive wave to the end of holding to Frost and Awaken. I think I might go with this. There we go. That's nice. Not watched Haikyuu yet. The only sports anime, like 2 sports anime I've only watched are Kuroko no Basket and Blue Lock. But I've been recommended to get into Haikyuu for a very long time. Definitely have to. All right. Is there a way to save in this? I guess not. God farts, wow. Hold up a second. All right, here come the frickin' dogs. You know what? I'm not even wasting time with these dogs, bro. They always... Next. Now we know Western time, bro. Do I play Minecraft? No. Where's the door? Oh, her health. Do I need it? I don't need it. Okay. They don't bite. Yeah, they're friendly dogs. Very friendly. So, guys, I'm gonna need you to help me out here. So, like, with every death that I have, like, I just, like, everything just resets for me. Like, weapons and all. Because, like, I had upgraded that, the frosting stun ability. What is it called? Up a second. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? This runic attack. Hell's Touch. And when I died, it just, like, totally reset completely. So, I just reset every time. Damn, that sucks, bro. Okay. Alright, this is another reason to not die, I guess. Apart from starting all the way from the beginning, I have to make sure I don't die so everything resets.
Even a short-term advantage could pay off.
I'm playing on the second hardest difficulty, Suzune. I'm already struggling with the second hardest. Hardest difficulty will just take me out, bro. I'll be raging like crazy. And I haven't even gotten that far. Like, honestly. Man. Anything up here? Nope. Okay. Those Draugr? Oh, this time I have to be prepared. I'm gonna make sure I beat their asses. Most difficult? I'm not him. I'm not him, bro. And I'm not even ashamed to say that. Bro, they're not dying, bro. God damn, this is hard. Whoa, okay. Sheesh, okay. Come on, okay. I can parry all this. Oh my god! Ah! Okay.
I felt that one, brother.
Oh, these Draugrs are so annoying. Oh my god. Yes, I have played God of War 2 and 3. I have. Damn, this sucks. Death count is 4 at this point. Oh. And the worst part is they're resetting each time. Damn.
Let's go again.
Like the health and rage meter, I see. So like weapon upgrades just go back to 1 each time, bro. That sucks. That sucks.
You must strike a balance between discipline and creativity. Between you and me, there's nothing wrong with enjoying the fight.
I'm not really enjoying the Draugr
Measure
portion.
yourself if and when you can, I always say.
Oh, let's take rage up there.
Well fought, General. You made much better progress that time.
Did I though?
I must admit, Sigrun, Valhalla isn't exactly what I imagined.
You're experiencing.
You feel my
only a
pain?
very
You were
small
raging,
part of
bro.
it.
And I imagine you were playing on the the hardest
Independent
difficulty.
and
I'm playing on the second
connected
hardest difficulty, and
from
I'm just.
Elsewhere,
I'm
there
already
are
sweating.
Larger neighborhoods where the dead reside, socializing, playing games, drinking.
Definitely
fighting.
enjoying the story aspect of the
But one
DLC
must
so far, I
earn the
guess.
right to join their fallen comrades. New arrivals run a gauntlet, a personalized, self-contained version of what you're doing. It's meant to help the dead process the lives they lived. Those who are worthy, who have found some measure of closure, are allowed to move forward. Those who are unable to resolve their lives are forever trapped in their personal Valhalla. Some just prefer to keep fighting.
You know what? I'm gonna switch shields. Yeah, I'm gonna switch shields. I'm gonna go with a different shield. This one right here. Where is it? Stonewall shield. This is the one. This is the one. When all else fails, this is the one right here, bro. Absorb all those impacts and just let them out. Okay, let's do this. Steel, thank you so much for the donation. You are the God of War. You got this. Much love, brother. All right, here we go. This is the one right here. We're beating those Draugr. Okay, I switch shields. Let's do this. All right. I'm speeding through this, bro. Let's go. Let's go. Didn't mean to do that. Damn. Turn that off. Turn that off. Turn it off. Okay, there we go. We're done. You suggest going with Michael, have you pre-ordered Final Fantasy? No, not yet. I plan to do it this month though. I suggest you go with Extreme Defense. Okay. That's like hopefully my plan this time around. I think I'll take this. All right. Here we go. We're going past Svartalfheim, bro. Like those Draugr, they're pissing me off. Especially the bigger one. Sheesh. Rizwan, thank you so much, man. These guys. Okay.
Incoming!
Damn!
Behind you, watch out!
Bro, really? I'm not looking too good here, bro. Sheesh. Okay. Pro tip, just use the gale force of drop near spear or throw enemies in a pit. Oh, really? I'm gonna try to see if I can do that, because man, bro's not looking too good. When you get to the DLC, you're gonna rage so much, so hard. I see, okay. You had to switch your armor? Damn. I'm already struggling. I mean, at this rate, I might just make this like probably 5 walkthroughs, bro. Is that it? Is that anything else? No? Okay. I gotta escape the Izanami at this point, right? I'm constantly doing this constantly. We beating the Draugrs this time, I swear.
On your left!
Oh, come on. Okay, there we go. Bro, when I tell you my palms are sweaty and mom's spaghetti, bro, you have no idea. I am sweating like crazy. Come on, Michael, we got this. Launching an enemy has a high luck chance of increasing. Okay, holding. Okay, might as well try that. 13-hour live stream. Oh man, it might just end up being that way. But I'm not dying this time. Come on. I say that now, but I'll end up dying. But not this time, bro. Come on, we got this. Those Draugr, we gotta take him down, man. And at what point will I be able to access these places? Like, after finishing the DLC, or like, I guess we'll find out. Famous last words, right? Shouldn't have said that.
I wouldn't say no to some short-time help.
Okay. But I'm fighting Draugr though, bro. Like, a Leviathan axe would be more useful, but okay. I guess I could just upgrade. Let's just do it. Armor in this has no stats. So, oh, you can just wear anything? Okay. I like that outfit I have on anyway, so I don't think I'll change. Okay, here we go, man. This is it. This is the moment, man. Are we good? Damn, I don't have my rage. Okay. Lord help me. I gotta play smart, cause like, bro. Ooh, okay. Oh my god, I hate how slow that is. Could this be the one? Could this be the one? Hold up. No, let me knock out my chickens. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Let's go! Let's go! There's more! Hold up a second, what? Oh my god, okay. Don't worry, we good, we good, we good, we good. Behind me where? Oh, you bastard. Where are you? Why are you running? Why? What? Are you the last one? Please tell me you're the last one. I'm not dying. Let's go. Oh, we did it. Let's go. Oh, it only gets harder from here, I'm sure. Damn. But at least we did it. Glad I switched shields, bro. I would have been here struggling. Oh, bro. Okay. Okay. Not bad. All right, let's see where we go from here. The rage coming in clutch. Kind of caught me off guard that they started multiplying, man. They were about to jump me some more.
There. That is the path we seek. A way up and forward. Valhalla's inner reaches. I can feel it.
Okay. So far, so good, guys. We're starting to see if there's anything. Nope, doesn't look like it. Okay. All right. Before we go there, anything here? Wait, am I back? Wait. Am I just going in circles? This all looks familiar, bro. I was here before. Right?
What is this?
Wait a second.
You recognize your old seat, don't you? Kratos. I have not forgotten the debt I owe you.
Is that the throne that Kratos was sitting on in God of War 2?
Do you really think he understands this? This still feels reckless.
Here they are now.
That's odd. We're back outside, but we
Bro, that
didn't,
voice.
you know.
That
Sometimes
voice
you
sounded
reach as far as
familiar.
you're ready to go. Valhalla's decision or yours? Does this mean you're done in there?
No. I will discover who invited me. I believe I am close.
You're sure it's worth dying for?
Oh, I think we're fairly accustomed to dying at this point.
Don't be glib, Mimir. Valhalla restores you after honorable death in combat, but beyond that, it makes its own rules. And if you don't play by them, Kratos, the threat of death in there is real.
That is good to know.
If by good, you mean wildly disconcerting.
I do wish you luck. Truly.
Hey man, at least we completed. Let's go. Yes, I have seen Oppenheimer. I have. Was that Helios? No way. Kratos' first, you know, head that he had on his hip. You know, well, yes. If you know, you know. Is that Helios from God of War 3? Damn. God of the Sun?
Do these tasks, return here for reward.
Voice sounded so familiar. Visit the labor marker to accept new labors and redeem completed ones for rewards. The marker off. Bro, if we start seeing old gods... Because, I mean, they did say that, like, as we go into Valhalla and we venture in there, like, things from Kratos' past might start popping up. So, I mean, clearly that was Helios, right? Imagine Aphrodite pops up. Woo! Or, god damn, that would be so cool if Aphrodite popped up. But that would be so cool if we got to see the other god, like Hades, Poseidon. Okay, clearly that was Helios. Zeus? Bro. That would be so awesome. Nice. Hey man, at least we completed the first portion of this. Alright, let's go. Showing up for round 2?
Perfection may be unattainable.
That would be funny.
Imagine striving for any less.
Thank you.
These could really help you in there.
You know what? I'm permanently increases Kratos' defense. You know what? Yeah.
And that benefit's good to last.
Focus on defense mostly. Strength too. No, you know what? Strength. Need my strength to be up there, bro. So I can kick some ass. Hermes too? Like, oh man. I remember he took his boots in God of War 3. God damn, it was so savage how Kratos killed every single one of them, man. Cut off Helios' head. Cut off Hermes' legs. Took his boots. Like, bro. Permanently increases Kratos' cooldown. Vitality. All right. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good here. Selecting the Shimmering Spartan Rage grants additional rewards. Ah. Interesting. Okay. No, I'm good. I'm good here. Right, back in we go. Yeah, I've heard some. I've had some Indian food before. Really good. Okay, new enemies this time. Oh, they have ice, so switch it up. Is that all you got? Let's go. Really appreciate the love from India. Kratos Homecoming? Bro, I'm surprised. Oh? The mural from the... That's from the end of the game, right? Wow. That wasn't there before. The one that we saw at the end of... That's the one, right? The one that we saw at the end of Ragnarok? Before Kratos said goodbye to Atreus? Yes, I have played the Batman games, yep. All right. Okay, I guess I can go with this. I hate how this is so random. I wish it would give me a runic attack that I prefer to use. Ore wa Batmanu. That sounds so funny saying it that way. No, I've not seen Loki season 2. Man, there's so many things I've not missed out on. Like, I've just been so busy with life stuff, like, to be honest with you. That's the reason why I'm even late to playing with this. Playing this DLC.
Valhalla's becoming more open to you, perhaps. So much to see in the distance there. You can see how all the little realm spaces connect to the higher plane. And those statues are certainly imposing.
I recognize them. They are judges of the underworld from my homeland.
Yo.
Well, you sound thrilled to see them again.
Bro.
Souls they deemed righteous were granted entrance to the Elysian fields. Those deemed wicked were cast into Tartarus.
Ah, yes. Where the souls of the damned were tortured. Why has your mind manifested them here, I wonder?
That's crazy. Wow. We're literally getting like Easter eggs practically of the previous God of War games, man.
It may be just for this try, but a little assist would be nice.
I think we're good there. Upgrade. I don't even have enough. Okay. More of you?
Left side!
There's no way Gaia would show up though, right? If Gaia shows back up, bro, that'd be crazy. Or any of the Titans. That'd be really cool. Kronos? Goddamn! My mind is going everywhere at this point. Grant a gift to... Huh? I lock chance to grant a gift of strength. Skill. Alright, here we go. I'm thinking too much. I need to calm down. I'm gonna calm down.
Midgard in memoriam. Ah, I'm starting to see there's no fixed order to the realms we'll visit here. Brother, whose voice was that we heard when Valhalla sent us back from the throne?
Helios.
You heard it also.
Aye. Said he owes you a debt, was it? Someone who might lend us a hand, perhaps?
Nah.
Unlikely.
Very
He was the
unlikely.
God of Greece, and we did not part on good terms.
You cut his
And
head
by
off.
that you mean...
Not even cut his head off. He tore his head off, bro. I remember that scene in God of War 3. It was so messed up, bro.
Yes, I see. No shortage of bitter old ghosts in these parts. These parts being your memory, of course.
Red Dead Redemption? I played the second one. I've never played the first one. I never even finished the second one. That's one I need to get back on, for sure. What is this? Will that take me to somewhere else, or...? Should I touch this? Will this transport me somewhere else, or like... Nah, not seen the Wonka movie yet. Yay or nay on touching this? Should I go? I'm very confused. Should I? Go for it? Okay. Let's see. Defeating Valhalla's chosen will unlock the ascending cells. Okay.
This is locked until we meet Valhalla's demands.
Oh. So defeat Valhalla's chosen. Okay. So I can't open that yet. Interesting. Okay. Favorite color? Red. Mom spaghetti. Oh boy, here we go. Yo, this man. Big man! Big man! Okay! Okay, got me there. Oh, we got you, huh?
Ranger on the left!
Where? Damn, got me there.
Frozen. What now?
Don't worry. Oh my god, I'm so slow.
Right side, brother!
Okay, we're not looking too good here, are we? Hold up, I'm gonna dash for that health real quick, bro. Come on. Come on, come on. Okay, there we go. Let's try this again, huh? Damn! Oh, ain't no way. Okay, we got it. I need to get away from this fire, bro. Oh my god, okay, I'm panicking, I'm panicking. Nice. Woo! Bro! Give me a break, man!
Watch your right!
Woo! Are we done? Please tell me we're done. Oh my god, bro. Whoa, that was close. Whew. Yes, I have seen the GTA 6 trailer. It was fun. It was pretty awesome. Graphics are looking mad, bro. Twerking physics, insane, bro. Day one. Oh, yo, that was crazy. Okay. Oh, this is what I had before. Okay. Oh, this is my favorite one. Let's go. Evaldi's. That's the one. That's the one. Oh. Okay. So exit is that way, right? More jiggle than Stellar Blade, yes sir. Rockstar just gets it. They get it.
That throne we saw. Did you recognize it? Was it familiar?
It was his.
Mine.
Yeah.
The throne I took from Ares. It is a throne of monsters.
Ah, the anxiety of power made manifest. A symbol you're no doubt meant to consider.
It is a symbol I reject.
That might not quite close the book on matters. A symbol can't be slain,
Clutch, yes, sir.
destroyed, or ignored. The best measure is often to reclaim it, redefine it. Remind us it's not the throne, but the god who sits in it.
Wise words, Mimir.
A little boost this time around, maybe?
Bro, I am leaking on health. Woo! I'm gonna need that health. Not looking too good there. Can't have to. Oh, okay, okay. There we go. Not too bad. Okay. Can't go there. Need to be the chosen one for that, right? Like they said. I wouldn't say I'm the GOAT of God of War. I'm like, I'm not good at this game. Oh, you stop right there, buddy. Whoa, okay. Oh, we got one up there too.
Incoming! Above you!
I see him. Damn, I need to get this guy.
Incoming! Above you!
There we go. Woo! Barely made it through that one. Hitting stunned enemies unleashes shockwaves and has a chance to grant a stack of... Okay, holding to several seconds will trigger... Go with that one. Yeah. Now, it's been a minute, Doomslayer, so yeah, I'm kind of just getting back into the swing of things. Muscle memory's coming back, though. Oh my god, not one of these guys. Alright. Oh, so this is the chosen guy? Are you serious? Nightmares too?
Above you! Watch out!
Oh my god! These nightmares, man. I need to get rid of them.
Right side, brother!
Ah! Damn! Oh, come on, okay, that's one.
Right there, left flank! Left side!
Oh my god! Death count is 5 so far, bro. Welcome back, Patrick. You came right at the time when I got packed up. Question is, where am I starting from now?
Well, that route was exceptionally difficult. I hope you stick it out.
I decided to focus on the nightmare first because I knew there were gonna be a problem, man. My blades on the nightmares. I was going for Leviathan because like they're so far away. But okay.
Take that to heart.
Five so far.
Your eyes on the horizon, General.
Will do.
And they say you can't buy self-improvement.
Alright. Okay.
Don't let Valhalla's chosen opponents get into your head. or
We got
else you'll
this.
fall to them again.
We got this. What time is it in Kenya? It's 11:09 p.m. No. I'm gonna stick. I'm gonna stick with what I have. I plan to do maybe, let's say, probably 3 hours. Probably, we'll see. Depends on how far I progress. I might even go for like maybe 3 or maybe even 5 hours. We'll see. No, I didn't miss it. I just skipped it on purpose because I want to speed through this part. I do know that Sigrun has stuff to say. Don't worry, Doomslayer. I'll go with this.
We could use some limited time assistance, couldn't we?
More when the movie comes out. Can't wait. Very excited. Can't wait for the movie. The symbols on the gateways indicate that what lies ahead and can inform choices. Open it. Okay. Nah, I think I stopped after Expendables 3. I heard the latest one is like really trash. Oh my god, not these things, bro. Damn, okay. The little small ones.
Right side, brother!
Oh my god, bro.
Behind you! Incoming!
All right. Go with this. Playing the Samurai Jack game, it was pretty fire. I enjoyed it when it came out. Reza is the best girl. Can't wait to find out more about her.
Why don't we talk about that image of you in the shrine we keep seeing? If Valhalla keeps pulling it out of your head, it must have some significance to you. Could it be that the idea of being loved and respected is a fair mite better than the alternative? Now hear me out, and it's not as though I'm the smartest man alive or anything, but don't you think joining Freya's council could put you in a position to walk that path? To earn that path?
Roger Clark.
A poor reason to accept.
Isn't he the voice actor of
is poison.
Arthur Morgan, right? Or am I wrong? Hold up a second. Oh? 207. Alright, here we freaking go.
Left flank!
You got fire, bro? Okay, let's go.
Good hit, brother. Behind you, watch out!
Damn. Damn.
Shield strike, now!
There we go. Man, those enemies from... Sheesh. Oh, O and L, much love, man. Lee, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it. If you stop after the any axe attack, it will vibrate. Press triangle to immediately freeze your axe. Same with blades. Awesome. All right, I'm gonna try to do that. Thanks so much. Immediately restores a moderate amount of rage. Blessing.
Getting back to that image of you on the shrine. I'll grant you ambition to be a poisonous motive, but your ambitions are only to help people, not for your own glory, right? Make the world a better, safer place. I think maybe that image of you is symbolic of your desire to walk a righteous path. Valhalla's little signpost.
You are sure accepting Freya's offer is the right thing for me? Or for the realms?
I think we're here to make sure about that.
John D, really sorry to hear about that, man. Hope you're doing okay. How much did I finish? I don't remember. I played a little bit of it. I mean, we started a camp somewhere. I think that's what it was. Oh no! Is this one of the? Is this a chosen? I hate this thing, bro. Oh, Bifrost, I hate that.
Behind you, brother!
Oh crap.
Use your shield strike, brother!
Damn it, Kratos, bro! I'm done, I'm dead. It's over, bro. I'm dying.
Left leg!
There we go. Are they both dead? At least I got a little bit of health after that.
Nasty hit!
Damn!
All right, brother!
No!
Oh, blasted! We're so close!
I suck at this game, bro. I really do. I genuinely suck at this game. I really do. The rock was right there and I didn't use it.
Very good, very good. Not your death just now, but all the progress you made.
6 deaths so far, okay. The illustrator of the One Punch Man manga is making his own... Really? To adapt season 3? Because I heard season 3 got announced a long time ago, but we never even got to know what studio is working on season 3.
Are not bound by circumstance.
All right.
The only true opponent in Valhalla is yourself.
It really is.
I'm seeing some wise investments here.
Current level of defense is goddamn, bro. I am not looking good.
An admirable attempt. Better than the last. You're adapting to Valhalla well.
I heard the rumors, bro. I didn't believe that though. I don't think that was true. That map was gonna animate that.
How fair you and your sisters.
I don't think they would be
Just
able
the
to do
three
that.
of us to attend to the fallen now. We're short-handed. But we've begun recruiting new shield maidens.
Well, I happen to know of one lass who'd jump at the chance to join your ranks.
You mean Thrud?
Oh.
Thor's daughter? Believe me, I know.
She has
fought us
Thor's
out
hammer now,
before
too.
the call even left our lips.
Oh.
She fights well and can be trusted.
A recommendation from you, General. With that, how could we ignore her? Not that
Sukar, hi
she
there.
loves us.
Favorite anime of 2023? Damn, that's a tough question. Because I'm thinking... Because I don't want to say JJK. Because, I mean, JJK is like, you know, that's an already ongoing.
Ah, it throws it! Watch your right!
Nice try. Okay. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd love a Doctor Strange game. All right, here we go. Sheesh. Gameplay is really cool, right? You know what? I'll do it myself. He pulled a Thanos. You love to see it, bro. I'd love that, man. Yeah, Hell's Touch. I like that. Yes, I have seen Game of Thrones. I have. I also recently watched House of Dragon. Can't wait for the second season of that. I'd say Daemon is my favorite character in the show. I honestly, what you mean, One Punch Man? I wouldn't love map. I give it to Ufotable. I think Ufotable would do a good job.
A little edge for this attempt, perhaps.
And I don't think they're working on too much. I think they're working on the... Was it the Genshin Impact? Is it a movie? Too much CG? Yeah, Ufotable is working on a movie, bro. Oh, these things. Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. Get off me.
Behind you, brother! Behind you!
Ah, crap.
Watch your right!
Oh crap, okay. Finally, jeez. All right. I think they do a great job, to be honest with you. With One Punch Man killing enemies with Frost Awaken, attack causes a Frost Shockwave. Okay. Let's go with this. I think Mappa style could fit to Tokyo period, made it funny. Tokyo Ghoul, you mean? I see. Pyro does have their moments. I think they're the two anime they love so much definitely are Bleach. Bleach, they're doing a good job with it. And Naruto.
Sigrun. She was eager to receive you mere days ago. What has changed?
Oh, don't pretend to be interested in my romantic life, brother.
I am interested, and you are evading the question. What happened?
Well, after you dropped me off at a longhouse the other night, Sigrun made a cloudberry and hazelnut pudding. Of course, I don't eat anymore, so slightly awkward, but totally thought. Pretty much it, really.
There is more to this.
What are you hiding, Mimir? Alright, Draugr, huh? Damn. Damn.
Incoming, above you! Last one.
Oh, barely made it out of that, bro. Sheesh. Same. Venom in Spider-Man 2 is fire. Insomnia cooked with that one.
What else happened that night between
stayed up much too late. I told her stories, she told me secrets. She put spirits to my lips, even though I can't get drunk. Then she invited me to watch her fall asleep.
And the next morning?
The next morning, we took a boat along the Lake of Nine. It was divine, brother. The lake was sun-dappled, the air was crisp and perfect. You could smell the thaw.
When did you misspeak?
You know me too well, brother. We were on the lake when I put my metaphorical foot in it.
Wow. What do I expect from Marvel Spider-Man 3? Definitely a team up between Norman and Otto, for sure. I mean, given how the second game ended.
Right side, brother!
Damn. Ooh, that was close, bro. Sheesh. Okay. Yeah, because I heard Insomniac said, like, Miles is going to be the main Spider-Man now, which I have no problem with. But, I mean, of course, Peter's going to be in the game, for sure. Immediately restores a more amount of creators. I'll go with that. Ooh, thank you. Thank you. I needed that. Oh, my God. Oh, okay. Okay. That's one down. Come on, man. I can't mess this up. I've gotten too far. Okay. All right, here we go.
Bifrost! Tread carefully, brother.
These Asgardian warriors are so annoying, bro, because of the Bifrost. Oh my god. Did I win? Oh, let's go.
I sense there are more challengers like it to find. That is how we earn our way forward.
Yes, sir. So just gotta beat more and more of these people. These chosen. While wielding the axe, stun grabbing an enemy provides oh. Okay. I'm gonna go with this. GG. Hey Michael, do you know that the animators for JJK just get paid $3 and some freelancers didn't even... What? That's crazy, bro. No way. Web wings were awesome. I really enjoyed the web wings. That was a really interesting, very good mechanic. No Spidey game has ever done that before. Okay. Now that I've done that, I can go to... Hold up, let's see if we can find that whirlwind-looking tornado thing. Ah, there we go. Okay.
Hard not to take Valhalla up on some help, even if it's just for this attempt.
Man, it's crazy. How can they be overworked like that, bro? That's just sad. My health is not looking too good. Alright, here we go. Oh no!
Ah, frost everywhere.
I need health. Where's that health?
Right side, brother.
Okay, here we go. Let's switch this up. Huh? Oh my god, okay. I'm gonna die.
On the top there.
Wilson Fisk just clapped my cheeks, bro. Pause. Major pause. Yo. Are you kidding me? Please tell me at least I start from that boss fight. I mean, I beat the Chosen, right? There's no reason they should make me have to do all of what I did again to face Wilson Fisk, bro. Fiske. Come on, bro. Ain't no way.
Valhalla is pleased.
Bro has a blade that turns into a scythe. That's crazy.
Air.
A gift. You are finding strength and flexibility.
Oh, got up some armor?
I'd like to tell you a story that I think will help you along your path.
I will hear.
Early in my life, before I was a Valkyrie, I was a healer in a small village. My father trained me in the use of herbs and natural remedies. To him, coming from a long line of herbal healers, that was the only true medicine. But visiting the city, I saw healers who used magic. Only magic. To treat their patients.
My progress just gone.
Work wonders. I tried to tell my father, but he said mage healing was against his philosophy, a dangerous shortcut that violated tradition. Being a good daughter, I respected his convictions. But that all changed when he took ill. That's a good place to stop for now. When you're further along on your journey, I'll share the next part of my story.
All right. Oh. Let's see what we have here. That looks fire. Guess we could try this. Helldivers? Nah, Helldivers looks boring to me, bro. It's not my type of game.
I know.
Like, and to anybody who's hyped for it, like, awesome. Or for me, it's just like, nah, it's not my type of game. The games I'm excited for this year, Stellar Blade, of course, FF7 Rebirth, and yeah, I think that's about it. We don't got much coming out this year, do we? Unless there's another game I'm forgetting about.
The elite enemies Valhalla has chosen for you to target will
Wukong!
continue to manifest.
Yes, sir! This is the year. October 2? Ah, let's go. Totally forgot. And Sparking Zero if it does come out this year.
Sigrun, dear, as Kratos and I have been off the beaten path, so to speak, I'm curious as to the state of the realms.
Well, since my sisters and I returned to our old Valkyrie duties, the souls of the damned no longer find the gates of Helheim closed to them. So...
No more Hellwalkers spilling into the other realms? Grand!
Awesome.
I can't say no Hellwalkers are left in the realms, but there are fewer.
That's good.
Seemed pleased.
Progress.
Or at least I think that's what her expression meant.
Okay. Michael, hope I can settle my bills of car insurance and road tax before end of this month. I really hope you manage, John D. So sorry to hear you're going through a lot of stuff, bro. Hopefully it does get easier. I keep buying check and aid for this. Oh, I see. No worries, John D. Life stuff is more important. You can always buy it later. Alright, here we go, bro. I'm gonna need to... Please tell me from the start? From the start. Why am I not surprised? Okay, here we go. Here we go again. Oh, solo leveling is a day one for sure. Yep. Yes, sir. Coming out Saturday, I think. Yep, Dev, I saw the Jujutsu Kaisen trailer. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was a 21-second trailer. Super excited for the next arc. Ouch.
Right side.
Ooh, yeah, yes, sir. Love meteoric slime. At least that's good. Okay.
Leah, tell me, what happened between you and Sigrun on the lake?
Well, she was rowing past where you found her family treasury.
Where we learned she cursed her brother over forbidden love.
That's right. And as we rode by, I remember feeling grateful the place was now deep underwater where she couldn't see it. And at that moment, she turned to me and she said, I think, Mimir, I might be smitten with you. I think maybe I want to kiss you. Indeed, brother. I mean, there's always been more to us than there's been the opportunity to explore. So much unspoken, beneath the surface. For her to name it so boldly, it took me a bit off guard.
She wasted no time, bro. Yo. Oh, don't go to this door? Oh, no. Oh. You know what? Might as well get it done. I hate these little creatures, bro. Oh my god.
Left side, brother!
Try my best to dodge as best I can.
Behind you! Incoming!
Okay, we managed. Steel, what's up, bro? It gets me fleeting echoes, okay.
You and Sigrun. I am still waiting for the part where you spoke.
In my defense, I only told her the truth as it struck me in the moment. I told her my feelings for her were deep as Ram's Hall and had been for as long as I'd known her. But just then a kind of revelation came over me. A sudden cold clarity that it was vanity to imagine that I, as I am, could be enough for her as she is. So I heard myself tell her that I didn't think I could give her what she needed.
Now, I am mad at you.
Yo.
I deserve it.
Damn. I mean, I do get Mimir's point. Bro, it's just a head, man. He wouldn't be able to satisfy Sigrin fully, you know, but I get it. Damn. That sucks. Oh, dear God, no. Okay, here we go. Glad I got this one. You saw me dodge that though, bro. Come on!
Oh, that's cool.
I hate nightmares so much, bro.
On your left.
Ah! Oh! Okay, calm down, Michael. Calm down. Okay. Naman, what's up? Wait, we talking about tongues, bro? What's going on? Xander, what's up? Just looked down on the chat. I'm like, he has a tongue. I'm like, huh? Killing enemies with flame whiplash. That causes burn shockwave. Increase the damage that blades. Go with this. Trevor, will do, man. No worries. Okay, back to Svartalfheim.
So, you told Sigrun you could not give her what she needed. You spoke out of cowardice.
Aye, obviously. But as prospects for terror go, can you imagine knowing all along you're not enough for someone, and then living out their slow realization of that truth? I admit it chilled me to the bone.
You presume to know how she will feel in the future. Why discredit her wishes and yours in the present?
I just can't pretend not to know better. She's romanticized the idea of us. Certainly I've done the same. But is that anything to build a future on? I mean, look at me, brother. Be practical.
I get it,
If
Mimiri.
anyone else disparaged you as you disparaged yourself, I would wish to strike them with an axe.
Aww. Kratos being a brother through and through. You love to see it, man. Sticking up for his homie, man. Amazing. Legend, I'm doing okay. Hope you're doing okay as well. Alright. Oh, these things?
Left flank.
Uh-oh, okay, hold up a second. Whoa, 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 whoa! Can we just take a second, bro? Let's take a second, okay? Oh, and we got a big one, too.
Oh, blasted. We're so close.
Bathroom break, bro. I can't. I can't. I really can't, bro. I'm dying. Dying. This is pure torture, bro. Like, for real, for real. But here we are yet again. Bro, they were all jumping me, man. Like, what? I don't think I'm gonna progress anymore, to be honest with you. Like, at this rate, I'm just stuck in a loop. I feel like I've not made any progress in the 2 hours I've been playing here. I got jumped! Kyrex, that's what happened.
Valhalla demands the willingness to embrace discomfort.
Lower the difficulty? I might just do that, you know? I mean, I know people are gonna think I'm a B word, but bro, like I like my saneness. I wanna be peace. I wanna just have peace.
You're learning Valhalla's rules.
Milady, how is Alfheim these days?
Master myself, Nitro, I'ma try.
It's tenuous, but holding. Endless war tends to breed quite a bit of mistrust. Thankfully, the elves, Bela and Bigvir are in positions of influence due to their
Lomas, bro.
association with Freyr, and
I'm this close to jumping out my window. That's how much I've been suffering.
Lasting peace the realm has
Hope you're doing okay, man. Welcome to the
What
stream.
about the findings in the consul's journal? Have they shared it with the rest of the elves?
Not yet, but give them time.
Okay. Let's see how I can do this time. Yes, sir, Nitro. I'm okay. Let's go. Let's go. Light work, okay. First time a YouTuber took my name on stream, achievement unlocked. Thank you, Baiko. Love you too, Nanom. Thank you so much. Naman. Sorry, I said that wrong. You are my special. Bro, this is not the posture a person who's playing this should be sitting in. Like, I'm sitting like I'm so relaxed, but I'm going through hell right now. Let's do this. What the hell?
Behind you! Incoming!
You are me. Fog of Winter. Alright. Yeah, I'm gonna take this. Did it make me curse? Not yet. I haven't cursed yet.
Now, back to Siegmund and your low opinion of yourself.
Look, brother, I don't apologize for wanting her to have someone who can be everything to her. She deserves the best.
And why should she not deserve the smartest man alive?
Sometimes I think you've come too far, brother.
Did I overstep?
No, Kratos. I appreciate your point. And to be fair, if I was so right, then why am I so angry at myself?
Man, Kratos is such a good... Like, bro. Is this the same character who was mad at the gods, bro? Bro, it's come so... Oh my god, I hate these Asgard warriors. Okay, here we go. We're doing this.
Use a shield strike, brother!
Guess I don't need to right now. Didn't mean to do that. Need a hand? Turn it off, Kratos. Damn, cut her in half. Okay. All right. So far, so good. Michael, I am exploring.
We've come this far. Anything we need this moment.
Apparently, the creator of God of War hates. Yes, I heard about that, bro. That's crazy. Like, I heard he doesn't. He's not like. He's not okay with how Kratos has evolved as a character, which, I mean, I understand critiquing your own creation, but at the same time, bro, damn. Should we go through here? They said there was a way to read these doors, right? Hold up a second. Or rather, what the symbols, hold up a second. What the symbols for each door show. Ah, here we go. Doors and chests marked with doors and chests marked with stats cliff contain boosts to core stats such as strength and defense. Okay. Door and chests with. Okay, I'm gonna go with the weapon ones. Doors and chests marked with offer an option to restore. An option to restore health or rage. I see. Okay. L3 in the menu. I see. Okay. I see. Ah, here they are. Okay. Love to see it. Let's see if there's another door. I want one for weapons. I feel like they should have included something with his anger or something like rage moments or so. You mean for Kratos specifically? Like how the character has become now? I mean, there was that moment with Thor, which was pretty cool. You know, but I mean, I kind of get where David Jaffe's coming from, but at the same time, bro, I mean, Kratos can't stay. Okay, for me personally, do I see it? He couldn't have stayed like an angry, you know, character forever. They needed to be like that growth, which I appreciate with what Cory Barlog and the team have done with the character now. You know what? Let's just go this way. How many 2 doors I've seen? Mike to Kratos, you are my spare. Okay, here we go. Alright. Oh, we got elves here? Light elves too?
Behind you, brother!
Are we done? Oh, I guess not. Oh, here we go. I hate these guys. There we go. with strength. I think that's it, huh? You are ordinary? Wow. Once I'm bounced back from my situation, Michael, we will be relieving my car insurance and road max extension for a while. Oh, that's good. That's good, John D. Really hope you bounce back, brother. All right. A persistent resource that can be spent at the tablet of reflection upon the shore of... Ah, okay. Damn, bro. How am I looking health-wise, first of all? Oh, we're leaking a little bit. Abdul, so far, I feel like I'm not making any progress, to be honest with you. Like, bro. I mean, I'm trying my best, but... Man. But so far, so good, I guess. You know what? Let me go through this one. This one will give me health no matter what, so that's cool. But I'm starting to understand and getting back, like, my muscle memory here. Oh, Draugr. Alright, this should be easy. I hope. Alright. Whoa! Oh, the big one? Okay. Took down one, that's good. Done. Is that all? Oh no! I freaking hate Dark Elves now. Is it just him? Oh, there's more of you? Well, that sucks. Damn, okay. Burn, baby, burn. Come on. Ooh, cut him in half too. Love to see it. Okay, at least I'm not struggling too much. But then when the boss shows up, it's a wrap, bro. What am I lacking? Oh. I'll take the rage. Yay. At least my health isn't too bad, so that's good.
Valhalla's got a bounty on that one.
Will that Colossus come? Okay. Whoa! I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. We got an our freaking. Let's go. Wait, are they two of them? Are they two of them? Hold up a second. Damn, 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 damn. Is there a second one? Oh, down there. Oh. Okay, we've got this. I hope at least. Okay, we took down one at least. That's good. I hope... Okay, there's a second one. It actually jumped up here, bro. Damn. Okay, I need some space, bro. I need some space, bro. Y'all need to give me some space. Nope.
On your left.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Nope.
Behind you. Look out.
Okay, come on, man. Okay, that's one. Oh my god. Oh! Crap. Bro, I swear I'm not crying, man. Like, bro, I don't want to cry, bro. Yo. Oh my god.
Make things a bit more hospitable inside.
You are my fan. You know what? I'm glad at least you guys are here to cheer me up, bro. I'd be really, really, really pissed off right now. I swear. I feel like jumping out my window. I swear.
Mastery demands the willingness to embrace failure, often, and without judgment.
Damn.
We did more things and more things to do. Check.
That's nice. People actually beat this on the highest difficulty, and I'm playing on the second hardest difficulty. And it's still this hard for me. It's because I'm trash at the game. That's one thing I've accepted.
It's never been easier to be better.
I gotta level up. I mean, okay, I'm trying my best, at least. I guess we can put it into defense and strength. Okay, that's all I can do for now. Runic, I guess. Cooldown. Lower the difficulty. You know what? I'm gonna give it one more try. Can I lower the difficulty like mid-game? Is that possible? I guess I can. Nah, I'm gonna keep it that way for now. If it becomes too much, I'll just say, you know what? I got nothing to prove, right? I just want to enjoy the DLC. I'm not a B-word.
But no, you can.
Really is a skill issue, to be honest with you. Like, I suck at this game, bro.
Sigrid, been wondering, are the remaining Vanir and Aesir playing nice in Vanaheim?
The Asgardian relocation hasn't exactly been smooth.
Nah, Trevor, I know you're messing. It's cool.
Svini and Lady Sif are keeping the ship headed in the right direction. The people seem to understand compromise is their best path to prosperity, at least.
Truth be told, I was hoping the old boar would have to call on me to smooth things over. But it's good to hear he and Sif have it under control.
Freya hopes they'll join the council once the peace settles.
That's awesome. One day I will make an animated series as big as anime and we'll see a reaction. Oh, much love, Naman. Hope you managed to make your dream come true. Oh yeah, yes sir. Very ready for solo leveling. People have been hyping that manhwa up for so long, bro. Apparently Sung Jin Woo is him. I want to see what's up. Okay, here we go again for the 95th time.
Behind you, watch out!
Whoop. Are we done? Oh, okay. Sung drip woo? Oh, say less. Can't wait. Come on, man. This is the one. This is the one right here, bro. I'm not gonna let you guys down. Watch this. Are you watching?
Watch out!
This is just light work. When we get to the ogres and all that, oh, it's a wrap, bro. Meteoric slam. That's what we're going with. Let's go. We're not wasting time. This time, they want a God of War. I'll give them a God of War. I wish I could get that mojo I had when I fought Gna, bro. I need that back. I need that back for this. Otherwise, we'll be here forever. First one. Let's go. Let's go. We done?
Raider, left flank!
Alright. Oh, we got a big boy, huh?
Use a shield strike,
Damn, okay. You know what? That's not waste. Let's go. All right, here we go. Hades Retribution. Okay, Flames of Anguish. Oh, okay. Seems useful. Chifung Dabug. That's a good one. That's good. You almost got me there, bro. Sheesh. Oh, just a little bit. Panicking. Let me see if I can find our health door. No. Wait, what? Hold up. A mix of... Okay. Stream, love your reactions, vids, man, and hell yeah, God of War, this DLC was absolutely beautiful. Loved every bit of it. Enjoy. Ah, thank you so much, Raul. Really appreciate you, bro. So welcome. Just suffering so far, to be honest with you. But this is the one. I'm progressing now, bro. This is the one. Okay, let me take this door. Can spend those echoes later.
Left side, brother!
These things? Damn, okay. You wanna go, bro?
Another Drogon to the left!
Damn. Whoa, big boy, huh? Hold up, let's take care of this. Okay, now let's take care of the Draugr.
One left.
Oh. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. Finally. Jeez. Sheesh. Yeah, I did the first one. Sorta. Ish. I progressed twice so far. Like, you know, which is good. I think. I'd say. Kinda. Yeah, kinda-ish, Abdul. Kinda. Alright, oh, going straight for the health door. Not even wasting time, bro. Hopefully I get health. I hope. Okay, that's locked. Just want to see if there's anything here. Okay, here we go. Oh, this? Oh, this is manageable. Let's go. Damn, okay, you got me there. Damn, I dodged, bro.
That's Valhalla for you.
What is my life? What is my life, bro? Oh my god.
An improvement over last time. Don't lose heart, brother.
Bro, I don't even know why I'm doing this anymore. Like, bro, is there a point to this? This is torture. This is...
I think Valhalla has something for you.
Oh, man, arise.
Air.
This boon is yours. As you embody resilience and embrace change.
I'm being cooked
Valhalla
everywhere,
provides.
bro. Damn.
I'll tell you more of my story now, if you care to hear it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
If you remember, my father had...
You died a couple of times. So how many? 8 times now?
An illness unknown to us. I offered to fetch the mage healer from the city, but my father refused. He insisted herbs were the only way to help him. You can guess what happened next. He was gone before the spring. I was devastated. In time, I grew to hate my father's philosophy and dedicated myself to healing through magic. It was a blind rejection of an entire field. Because I believed it failed my father. Because I blamed his death on his faith. The truth is, I traded one limiting perspective for another.
9? Oh, damn.
I wasn't ready to see that yet. That's a good place to stop for now.
Bro, I don't think we're... I think we're just gonna be here. I'm stuck in the Izanami, bro. Truthfully. I keep saying this is the one, and then we end up... Oh.
You've been busy.
Or at least each time we...
A gift. I see you refuse to settle for the ordinary general. I hear you like stories. I got one for you.
She's got a story too, okay.
Go on.
I wasn't born with the privilege of some of my sisters in arms. I wasn't...
Nitro, I'm gonna need to cook soon. This is the
I
one.
was just the daughter of some poor innkeeper. Matter of fact, I wasn't even his. He just raised me after somebody left me there. I didn't have much going for me, but I had one thing. I wasn't afraid of anyone. If somebody was asking for a punch in the face, I never thought twice. Brought a heap of trouble on myself that way, it's true. But I sure learned how to fight. Enough for now. I'll pick that up later.
What do you expect to do the Green Goblin laugh in Spider-Man 3? The actor they cast, I assume, right? The person who is already playing Norman? And upgrade my health.
Wise investment, brother.
It's all about the health, bro. Oh, we taking it as oh, let's go. Taking it all the way. When I started this DLC, I was expecting that maybe all my stats would carry over from the the main game, but I guess not. That would have made this so much easier, but you know what? We gotta adapt. At least my health is at a, reasonable point.
Coming along quite nicely, General. It's a pleasure to see your progress.
Thank you, Sigrid. I'm about just hold on to that thought. I'm gonna be back. This is the one. This is the one, Sigrid. Just give me a second. Let me cook. Oh, these ones?
Right side, brother!
Oh, light work. Let's go. Oh, we love health. Health is what gets us through everything. Awakened Hunter. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this. Tired of seeing that picture from the shrine, bro. We gotta make progress now. This is the one. This is the one. Come on, Michael. We got this. Draugr? Oh, the hunters? Okay, let's go.
Behind you, brother!
Oh, he missed. All right. One day we all can play Among Us. Oh, Among Us, the game? We did one once on the Discord. It was pretty fun. But yeah, sure. I'm gonna try to see if I can do that. Among Us is pretty fun when you're playing with friends. I like this one. I'm gonna go with this one this time. Anya is live, Sean Chip? Like Anya from Spy Family? Like live right now? Come on, bro. I have to make progress. This has to be the one. This has to be the one, bro. Just give me a second. What does that door do? Runix. Oh, Runix. Okay. Yeah, let's just go with the Runix. I mean, echoes are more important though. Damn it, it's too late. Oh, okay, Draugr. Okay, this could go either way. Alright, we got the big one this time too.
What's your right?
I see him. Hold that for me, huh?
Behind you! Look out!
Okay, got him. Ah, Dark Elves. I know that. I know that language. Okay, here we go. Undugu! Undugu! Damn. Is that all of them? I learned Dark. Have you guys didn't know? Part Dark Elf, bro. No, I'm just messing. Sounded like Cyclone of Chaos. Oh, maybe that now. Or nah, I would go with Cyclone of Chaos. Phoenix, man, no worries, man. Much love. Okay, here we go. This is the bro. I'm beating the Chosen and I'm progressing. I swear. Like, this is the one. Okay, hold up. What does that door do again? The one that looks like a wolf, sort of. Increases perk, unique, combat, and game. Okay. Is there another door? This one, stats. Increases core stats. Is there another door? Hold up. No other door, just those two. Okay. We shall go with door number 1. Hold up, how am I looking health-wise? Oh, we good. Drop near. I'm not really into drop near as much. Oh, bro, right in front of him? Let's take care of all that fraud, shall we? Burn, baby, burn. Weird glitch there. Oh god. Well, I'm blocking! What the heck? I'm pressing L1, bro! This game is sabotaging me. It's trying to get me killed, bro. Imagine if the... Like the game is against me? Yeah, we got that guy. More? Burn, baby, burn. We done here? Finally. Store from Walmart. Oh. Okay, let's go. Grants blessing, cooling when interrupting, double blue ring. Okay, double tap parrying. Okay, Spartan rage, fury attacks and exit rage costs I greatly reduce. Oh yeah, I use that. I use that a lot. I use my Spartan rage a lot. Okay, bro. So far, so good. Kind of leaking though. Am I? Ah, yeah, sort of. Ish. We can fix that a little bit. I think we're good there. Okay. Awesome. All right. We're ready. All right. Let's see. Bonuses to specific weapons and skills. And that one. Let's go here. Okay, bro. Okay. Invincible? I did watch the first season. I've not started watching the second one. Oh, crap. I hate. Oh man, when I tell you I hate these other. I hate these.
Watch out!
Don't worry, Mimir. We're good. Okay, come at me. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm pressing. Bro.
Behind you! Incoming! Left side! Left on!
Burn, baby, burn. Okay, next. I'm coming for you. Oh, you're.
Oh, it's us!
Are we done here? Doesn't look like it.
Above you! Fire!
There we go. Now we're done. Sheesh. Mark Shannon, what's up? I know I'm late out to the stream, but once it's over... Ah, no worries, man. No worries, Mark Shannon. Glad you're doing okay. Happy New Year, my brother. Okay. It's Whiplash. Okay, here we go.
There's the one Valhalla's mark!
Oh, okay, here we go. Here we go. God help me pass through this, bro. I'm gonna need all the help I can get with this one.
Watch for the horns!
Come on, Michael, come on. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. What the? Oh, we're going all out. I need that health back, bro. Need all that health back. Need all that. Woo! We did it!
And Valhalla keeps the score.
Okay. Oh, okay. So far, so good, bro. God damn. Okay, now this is where I mess up. Once I get what I need, I mess up. Okay. Yeah, we're going with Hell's Touch. GG, let's go. Alright, here we go. Bro. This is my opportunity. This is my chance to progress.
I think we're free and clear to take the way up now.
Come on, bro. I gotta get this right, man. Ah, bro. I made it this far. Come on! How's my health looking? Bro, I'm gonna die, bro. I can't even buy any health, man. Are you kidding me? I'm done. It's over. Your boy's cooked. I'm cooked, bro. When I get up there, I know it's gonna be some crazy thing I need to fight, bro. I guess this is where my skill needs to come into... Okay, here we go. National Next 47, what's up, bro? Oh, you too? Mark Shannon? I'm already sweating, bro. Okay, here we go. Let's see how much progression... Oh, this guy again! Okay, I'm heading straight for the health, bro. Can I get to the health? Oh my god, bro. I didn't even last 2 seconds. I didn't even last 2 seconds. I did not even last 2 seconds, bro. Oh my god. I think it's about time to call it quits. End of stream, bro. I'm done. I'm done. I was going for the health and bro didn't even let me go for the health. Like, show some sportsmanship, bro. I can't even speak right. I'm spitting everywhere. But you get my point, right? Like, just let me go for the health. Give me a chance. Come on, Valhalla. Can you give me a chance? Please? Damn. Oh my god. All that progress for nothing. Oh my god. Oh. Barely any progress, Ryan. I don't even know why I'm trying anymore, to be honest with you.
I suspect it's high time to leaving conditions for us inside. We can afford it.
That guy's so annoying, bro. I don't even know how to beat him. I wish I could. Damn.
Battle is unpredictable, as is life.
10?
Valhalla
Man.
is a crucible. What will you become?
Can't upgrade any stats. What can I do? Luck. Difficulty is on the second hardest difficulty. It's mastery. I'm playing on mastery. Still hard though. Man. Oh, they're clapping my cheeks, bro. Pause. This DLC is clapping my cheeks, bro. Yo. I need to start cooking. Facts, Trevor. Facts, man. Okay, this is the last one. This is the last one. If I fail, I'ma just call it quits and come back next time. Cause like, bro, what are we even doing at this point? They say doing something over and over again is crazy, right? Isn't it? Cause I'm losing my mind.
Behind you, watch out!
Stand proud. You can cook too. I hope so. Cause whoo, bro. I plan to have a good New Year's week because last year I was in a... Oh, you went... Oh, for surgery? Oh, Mark, man, I hope you're feeling better, bro. Mohammed, I'm gonna go... You know what? Last try, the last run, and then I'm gonna take it to like... Hold up, let's see. I'm on prowess right now. I'll take it to give me... show me courage. That's... Because, bro, I don't need this. I'm trying to have a good week, bro. Like, I'm not trying to stress. I'm not, like, I'm fully willing to admit that I'm not him. I'm not him when it comes to this game, bro. And that's fine. I don't even know why I'm using Spartan Rage, bro. I just want to play for fun, bro. I'm not trying to be, like, the best or whatever. I mean, that's a good feeling, but damn, bro. I'm not Game Breaker God. I'm not Christian. I'm not him. I'm Michelangelo, bro. I'm just trying to have fun. Here we go with this one. Oh, Jake. Okay, now if you be saying stuff like that, that's kind of stuff that might get me motivated, bro. Sheesh. Okay, this is the one then. This is the one right here. I don't need anything. I'm good. All right, which door? Door number 1, door number 2. Let's see. What does that say? Okay. Just, you know what? It's a new year. You gotta revoke it, bro. I'm not him. I'm not him for this year. Okay, here we go.
Behind you, brother!
Big boy? Alright, let's do it. I mean for her first. We got this. We got this. Okay, I'm gonna try. This is the. This doesn't work out. I'm gonna just lower the difficulty, bro. Cause damn. Ghost, what's up? All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I've even taken the headphones off, bro. Like, that's when you know I'm done. Okay. Are we looking health-wise? I think we're good. Can I? Alright, let's get some more fleeting echoes here. Trust the story. Difficulty trust the stories. No worries. This is the last run I'm doing, like on this difficulty. If this doesn't work out, I'm just gonna lower the difficulty. Because I am intrigued about the story, man. Like doing this for how many hours? 3 hours at this point.
Right side, brother.
Damn, well, bro! Can I just give me a sec, man? We done here? Sheesh. Okay. The drop near spear, I'm not like it's a really great weapon, don't get me wrong. I'm just used to the Leviathan axe and Blades of Chaos. But I'm gonna try use it more. Hold up. Got 2 doors, okay. Bonus to specific weapons, weapon skills. Okay. We'll go with door number 2, I suppose. Okay, I gotta make it through this, bro. Come on. Come on. I'm locked in. Oh, no, no, no.
Right side.
Wrong choice, bro. God damn it. Okay, here we go.
Behind you, brother.
Huh?
Behind you.
Come on, come on, come on. Okay, sheesh. Would have been so fire if Toji bumped into. Yeah, right? Oh, that would have been so cool. Not sure what Toji would have done though to Sukuna, but I mean, I'd love to see that fight. That would have been an interesting fight. I feel like it would have just been a Gojo.
There's the one Valhalla's marked.
Oh no, a Wolver? Okay, I'm going all out, bro. Oh no, he's going beast mode now. There are 2 of them? Get the shut the front door, bro. Are you serious? Ah! Please, 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 please. You can't both jump me. That's not fair, bro. Come on now. Oh, let's go. Let's go. Please, Kratos, kill it. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it. Oh, let's go. Okay, that's one. That's one. Okay, okay. We took down the main one. That's good. That's good. Get out of here, bro. Let's go. Woo! Okay. Man. All right, this is where I mess things up. This is the moment where we mess things up. Okay. Okay.
The way up should be clear now. Whenever you're ready.
You know what? I hope they give. I hope they don't give me Fiske or whatever his name is. I hope they give me the ogres. I want the ogres, bro. Please. Please, game. Do it for. Oh, you've got me motivated already, Jake. Say less. I'm sure she's watching right now. Because I mean, like, what else would she be doing? You know. I'm delusional. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Damn. So I can just use the path now. Okay. Woo, bro. There's got to be like health around here somewhere, right? Or how am I looking health-wise? Damn. Okay. Please tell me there's health somewhere. Just lying around, maybe. Ah, bro. Okay. Because I can't buy any now. This has got to be it, bro. This has to be. This is the one, guys. You know what? No, let me not say that. This isn't the one. I'm gonna do reverse psychology here. This is not the one. Which in turn, me saying that will make it the one, right? That's how that works. Oh, please, God. Okay. Okay, come on. Here we go. Please, 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 please. Oh, it's this. Okay. Okay, let's go. This time you're not. Oh, let's go.
We're back, Rusted, brother. Feel out.
Oh my God.
Felt that one, brother.
Please, God, no.
Well, that's Valhalla for you.
You know what? At least that's the first. I got at least far enough, right? That was not a bad round, right? That was not too bad. I was getting him. I almost had him too, bro. Yo. Stone Shield is bad for this enemy, you think so? I mean, it's helping. Because I don't trust myself enough to parry, though. Dauntless is better. Okay, maybe we might switch up and see.
Valhalla is a place of constant flux.
God damn it! You know what the problem is? Now I don't want to switch up the difficulty because I know I can beat him, bro. You see, like if I switch up the difficulty, it's gonna feel like I cheated, bro. Ah, man, because I got so close to beating him. Damn. Okay. We'll switch up the shields up there.
Don't let Valhalla's chosen opponents get into your head.
So Dauntless is
or else
better
you'll
for him?
fall to them again.
This one? Somebody says, careful with the blue attack and yellow attack. I recommend dodging if you... Yeah, because, okay, the blue one, you know, I need to use my shield to be able to break that, right? The yellow one is like a parryable. The red one, that one you can't parry or block, you know? So... Oh yeah, definitely gotta watch solo leveling. You gotta roll with that enemy due to his to his Bifrost? Okay, I'm gonna try my best. Ah, but man, Dauntless? Damn. I don't trust myself enough to parry. You know what? Let me not switch. Because I mean, what I'm doing is kind of working for me. But I'll try my best to dodge at least. You know what? Let's give it a shot this time around. See how it goes. If not, then I'll switch to Dauntless and see how things go. But I'll be more careful fighting him. Because like, bro. Oh, we're switching it up now. Okay. Got you there. Vivting, what's up? We still here, Hugo. Still suffering, you know? I'm gonna cook this time, bro. You know, I'm proud of myself though. Like we got close. You know, after a 3 hours and 19 minutes, goddamn. But we still here, not giving up, bro. Let's go. Oh, Jaya, much love. Thank you so much. We got this time, Muhammad. Oh, I'm just... Bro, this is the one. You see, I got close. I got like halfway to his health bar, I think. So if I'm facing him again, then I'm beating him. I'm beating him. Although now it might, like, you know, since this thing is sort of random, I'm assuming, like, it's gonna take me probably to the, whatchamacallit, to the ogre. Like, the two ogres I had to fight last time, so we'll see. We'll see. Wolverine or Kratos? Oh, I mean, in a fight, my money's definitely on Kratos.
Showing him.
Oh crap.
Coming above you.
Where's that other one?
Behind you, look out!
Okay. We got this, Mark. I got this. This is the one. Oh, and that's the move I like too. If all these, whatchamacallit, let's go. Is there any health here? Oh, there is. Let's go. I mean, I'm gonna try my best to be very vigilant about health as well. That way I don't have to waste, like, you know what? During my last do you call it? My last battle. I think that's when I'll buy health from here. What's the other? Hold up a second. Huh? Wolf 1's unique combat and gameplay perks. Arrow 1 increased. Let's go to this one. No. I prefer to use the Leviathan axe and Blades of Chaos. All right. Okay, there is health up there, but I don't need it. Okay. I heard a rumor about that, Mohammed. Like, they planning to remaster the old God of War games? That'd be cool. That'd be really cool. So door number. Okay, hold up. We're going with this one. I need it. Oh boy, here we go. Damn.
I've lost everywhere. On your right, Bifrost. Speed up, left, right.
Okay. While wielding the axe and grabbing, go with this. Okay. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Here's the one Valhalla singled out for you.
Okay.
Watch for the horns. Bifrost everywhere.
Where's it? Oh, there you are. Come on. Damn. Oh, damn. Come on, come on, come on. I want to focus on this thing before I start focusing on this dude, bro. Come on!
Ready that shield!
Okay. If I can beat this guy, it'll be a miracle, bro. Okay, here we go. Come on, Michael. Come on, we got this. What?
Right side!
Ooh, got him. Ooh, drop near spear coming in clutch. Let's go. Yo, that was close. That was very close, man. Yo. Okay. Not bad. Not bad, bro. We made it. Okay, now I can I think I'm gonna spend my my fleeting echoes on health, bro. Yo, I'm not looking good. Oh, yo. Okay, here we go. Want to be as prepared as I can be. Let's go. All right. Nice. Yeah, you know what? I'll give this an upgrade. Upgrade both? Okay, just one. Okay. All right, I'm prepared now. Let's go. We can do this. This is the one, bro. Oh, yo, but now it depends on which. Let's see which boss I'm facing, man. Will it be Fiske or whatever, or the freaking? Let's see. Oh, it is him. Oh, it's always him anyway. Okay, let's go.
Cyclops, don't let them hit you.
Okay. Okay. Bro, my... Oh, man. I'm sweating. I'm sweating. I am sweating. My palms are sweating. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Woo! Give me a second. Go. We got this, guys. All right, let's go. Oh, damn. Damn, damn, damn. Oh, let's go! Let's go! Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's go. Let's go. GG's. Finally, I can... Oh, my God. After 3 hours and 32 minutes, bro. Let's go. Finally. Oh, let's go. I can cook. I'm him. I'm him. Oh, let's go. Whoo. Oh, that was, man. Yo. Let's go. I feel better now. Headphones are back on. Let's go. And then I'm about to die once again. You know, I think I might live it. Hold up. Okay, let's progress and see. Here we go. Oh, that was all. Let's go. I feel good. I'm so glad I didn't drop the difficulty. Here we go.
Congratulations, old friend. You really are going places in Valhalla.
Yo!
Where's Mimir?
Is that really all you have to say to me? After all this time, can't muster up so much as hello for one of your most auspicious victims?
Hello, Helios. Where is Mimir?
How should I know? Why don't we go look for it?
I can't believe they brought Helios back. What? So he's gonna be my first head. My first head is dangling from my hip, bro. You love to see it. And it's if I recall, it's Crispin Freeman, right? Itachi's voice actor who's Helios. Can you imagine that? They actually brought him back. What? I wonder if he, because like you'd use his face to like light stuff, right? Yo, that is so cool. Same voice actor? Yes, I remember. Oh man, that is cool. Yo. Oh? We're in Niflheim now?
So, what's new with you, Kratos? Murdered any good pantheons lately?
Wow.
Devastated any populations with the cataclysmic consequences of your actions? Turned on any once trusted allies? You simply must bring me up to speed on your latest saga of blood-soaked vengeance.
I am that no longer.
You don't mean to say you've gone soft? Never believe it. Once a Spartan, always a Spartan. No, there's no fooling me, Kratos. You know what they say? You can't hide in the shadows from a sun god. At least, that's what they should say.
Wow. I can't believe they brought Helios back, bro. That's awesome. Well, now we know we're in facts, right? This is now it makes sense.
Will he choose?
Wow. I can't believe they actually did this, bro. This is so cool, man. Now it makes me wonder what other like people from Kratos' past are gonna show up, you know? I mean, we got Helios, will Hades show up? Ares? Athena? Poseidon, Zeus? Like, man, my mind is going crazy now, but we'll see. At least now we progress, man. I feel good. Okay. Shikasu, what's up?
Say, the decor is looking a little more familiar, isn't it?
Oh.
A mighty chain. Auspicious sign. You've always had such luck with chains. This is all gonna work out just great for you. I can feel it.
Hey, man. He's always had good luck with chains. That's funny. Bro, what? Are we back in Olympus, bro? This is so cool.
Oh, there it is. Home sweet home.
Oh, bro. What? This is cool. Wow. No, I can't, bro. This is amazing. Things are gonna get harder from here on out. Ooh, nice. Dropping your spear coming in clutch. This is amazing, bro. Who are we fighting next? Bro, we're literally back in Olympus, man. I swear.
Now this room must really take you back. Wasn't this the Chamber of Sacrifice? Where you let an Athenian soldier burn to a crisp, just so you could get past the room? Oh, those madcap early days. How you must miss them.
This is mad crazy, bro. Ooh, nice.
What are you doing, Kratos? You mean to sacrifice me? Again?
What the? Oh, let's go. I'm here, bro. So I just have to kick their asses, practically? Okay.
Oh, good. You are making eye contact as you push me towards my demise. What a special little personal touch.
Wow.
Really lets me know where I stand. Especially after such a long and agonized deliberation over what to do. Oh, how reluctant you tell people you were to sacrifice me to the flames.
I love how quickly my runic attacks are coming back, bro. Must be the perks I added. What the? Kratos! Oh, there we go. Pressing R3 and it's not working. Yeah, I did see Fast 10. I did. It was okay. It was okay. I'm very excited for the...
Blithering idiot. But you do remember I'm a sun god,
Next
right?
one.
You think I'm afraid of a little fun? Don't threaten me with a good time, Kratos. Maybe I'll be infused with power and achieve my final form.
Oh,
Maybe
wow.
I'll explode and take you with me. Let's just see what happens. Let's just see.
Helios is insane, bro. More? No way! The Blade of Olympus! Oh my god! No way! Whoa! Bro! You're kidding! Santa Monica, you didn't have to do this, bro! They brought back the Blade of Olympus! Oh, bro! Timeout, bro! The music to it is so classic, God of War. I can't. Oh, hold on. Timeout, bro. Whoa! This is the blade Zeus gave Kratos in God of War 2, bro. What? Oh my god! I am sucking so much using it though, but bro. Oh my god. Legacy is now available. Oh my god. Yo, that's crazy, man. Ezio, what's up, man? And just because you're here, I remember what we spoke about yesterday. Hit you with that mod, man. Oh, that was crazy. I can't believe it. Yo.
I could give you a hint, but I just feel like you wouldn't appreciate it.
Yo, I can't believe it, bro. And this is a free DLC? Nah, y'all cooked it. Oh, Santa Monica.
Another push. Let's go. Okay, seriously, Kratos, get me out of this cage. It's not funny anymore.
Oh, you worried now?
You need to roast me on a whim, on a presumption that it's what Valhalla wants from you. Have you ever considered that maybe your instincts are just random thoughts that pop into your head, no more likely to be true than the next? Maybe consider that. Quickly.
You're done, Helios. We're about to be cooking.
You're really just just going to incinerate me and see what happens? I swear, you haven't changed one solitary...
Brother?
Mummy?
What
Oh
am I
no!
doing in here?
Over here. Over here.
Get him out! Oh crap!
What's that?
That's not good.
No! Get me out of here! Brother! What is this? Help me!
No.
Trying.
Brother! Please!
No freaking way.
Do not panic. We will simply return to the gate.
I don't think so! I think you've broken how Valhalla works! Oh! I think this is it, brother!
So where are we going, bro? To hell? Oh?
Let's get you out of
Sigrun?
Sigrun!
Yo!
You're burning!
I'm not supposed to be here!
Oh, she's been cooked.
Hokari Naito!
Wow, Sigrun coming in clutch, bro. Oh my god. Valhalla is messing with our minds, man. It changed Mimir into Helios. Oh my god. Our wings are singed,
No.
bro.
You poor thing, look at you. You shouldn't have done that.
Oh, heal, dummy. You and Kratos would not. But you're safe now.
Sigrun, I'm sorry. I've been so foolish.
Later, love.
Oh,
I need a moment.
yo. Thank you, Sigrun, man. What? That was crazy.
We are forever in your debt.
As I will be forever in yours.
Crazy how she was the hardest boss fight in 2018, and now here we are as allies, bro. The God of War 2018 game. Oh man. Whoo! That was crazy. I can't, bro. I'm still on the fact that they brought back the Blade of Olympus, man. Yo. Dark Odyssey.
I'm not sure about that, boss. It's nothing air can't heal.
Okay.
This could take some time.
She's kind of bad.
Come on, Kratos. Get back in there and do what you need to do.
Okay. You know what, guys? I'm sorry. I'm gonna be that guy, and I think I'm gonna end it off here. We've done a considerable amount. Just that word. Considerable amount is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Oh man, that was so awesome, man. Oh my god. You know, honestly, if I hadn't gone through all that suffering I went through, I'd have it in me. Like I have it in me to keep going, but I just want to cut it off here, and then we'll come back. I'll try and see if I can, because it's gonna be a busy weekend. I'll try come back stream again on Monday. I promise. I hope so. I'll let you guys know. But this was fun. Thank you guys so much for cheering me on. I think I'm just gonna stick with the difficulty. Show me prowess. We did it. We beat Fiske or whatever his name was, you know? And wow, Helios is back. I'm shocked. They brought back the Blade of Olympus too, bro. Yo, that's crazy, man. I'm just happy. I'm happy, man. Wow. Yeah, we're playing on the second hardest. Show me prowess, right? So that's second hardest. So not bad. I mean, I'd call it a solid stream. I mean, so far we've progressed, and I'm still shocked. You know, I understand now why people were saying this DLC is crazy. Like all that, it's free. This is all free. Yo, it's crazy. Anyway, thank you all so much for coming through. Really appreciate y'all. I'll see you guys Monday streaming, but I'll be back tomorrow for Undead Unlock, and then of course Saturday we got Marshall and solo leveling, then Sunday One Piece, so no worries. But yeah, that was awesome. Wilson Fiske. But anyway, guys, thank you all so much. Take care. Happy New Year once again. Thank you all so much for coming through. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Take care, man. Peace out.